What's going on, you guys? So I got chapter 911 just got released early. It's about a day early than what we usually get the leaks from Japan. But I'm excited. This will be my first chapter review of the current stuff, and we're gonna dive headfirst into it right off the bat. I'll just give us a full color spread for the new arc. So we get to see the whole crew together, which I think he's really kind of exploiting that, we haven't seen the crew together in 2 years. And we're about to finally see them meet up. I mean, it still hasn't happened yet. But, yeah, so we get this nice color spread with the chaos, Luffy running by, chasing the cat. It's got his burger, it looks like. And, you got Robin in the background just chilling out. And, some Nami ass going on there. So anyways, let's jump right into the chapter. The chapter is called A Great Adventure in the Land of the Samurai. And we jump back in where we left off last week. We have these two massive beasts fighting right next to the Sunny. They're trying to not necessarily trying to destroy the Sunny, but the Sunny's caught in the middle of their brawl. And anyways, Luffy's just not paying attention, just sitting there trying to remember how he got separated from the crew. The dog lion thing we first get introduced to, it's kind of like, it's a statue that you'd see in front of Shinto shrines in Japan. So he used one of those, made it into an actual creature that's roaming. And then we have this just mammoth baboon with a katana. It's just badass, just screams Japan, but really I don't think there's much more significance to that I found, but only minor research on my end. So we get brought back to this flashback where it shows us the Sunny getting to the top of that cliff face they were climbing the waterfalls through with the carp. And they climb all the way back up, and there's a whirlpool swirling around on the top. And there's not much they can do other than try to escape the Sunny. So, they're just going to reclaim it after. So Sanji says he'll carry Nami off, which, to the rest of the crew's chagrin, they're like, Sanji, what about us? And, Sanji says you're too heavy, but anyways, Luffy says, he'll blow himself up Gum Gum Balloon style, and they can just bounce off of him and escape, and Luffy's gonna join them. So, Luffy's gonna follow them and join them, and the Sunny's not too happy about getting left to just, be reclaimed in the ocean, So Sunny makes this awesome little panicked face here, but just before Luffy gets ready to jump off the ship and join Sanji and the rest of them on their way to the land, this octopus we'd seen last chapter, who's been tagging along, grips onto Luffy tight, and Luffy's shocked by it and gets sucked into the whirlpool and spat out. Which, seriously, like, what's the deal with this octopus? I'm pretty sure, chances are, there's gonna be some importance to this octopus at this point. I mean, he was just hanging out of the ship, and the crew's track record with having random creatures show up at the beginning of an arc, just generally they play a bigger part throughout the whole story. But he seems like he's a part of the Kozuki clan, or some aspect of it is what I'm thinking, but that's just my guess at this point. There's not really a lot to go off, but I do feel like he'll be important. So at this point, we know that Luffy is missing his Vivre card, so he doesn't have an easy way to find the crew, which, I mean, even if he had a Vivre card, Luffy's going to find trouble. So at this point, Luffy's just trying to figure out if he's actually in Wano, if he made it to the top of the waterfall, if he's actually entered the country, or if he's still on the border. He seems to think he is, but he's not sure. Doesn't have a Vivre card to go find the crew, so he's kind of just stuck on his own, as norm. Looks like a T-Rex, kind of raptor-looking critter running on in, probably just outside of where Luffy's location is. And he's arguing with someone. You got this person who's screaming, let me go. You guys misheard me. And they go, no, we didn't mishear anything. You're an attendant of the evil Kozuki clan, like. So we're already jumping into Wano with some big news. I mean, Kozuki clan, we've already known there's bad issues in Wano with them, between Kaido and killing the Daimyo. We already know there's bad blood between Kaido and the Kozuki clan, and Wano's tense about Kozuki, because Oden was sacrificed. I guess you could call it sacrifice, more or less executed for not expressing his knowledge of the forbidden history. And because of that, Kaido and the current shogun put him up to execution. And so Kazuki clan, it seems like, is pretty much a taboo thing. And so anyone who's affiliated with it is definitely just going to get dealt with right off the bat. He says, this is an unforgivable crime. Should we sell you in the red light district, or should we turn you in? Either way, we won't show you any mercy. Yeah, unforgivable. And so within the next couple panels, we start to realize these guys are working for Kaido. They've got the similar gear setup, the whole scheme, and I mean, they're riding a raptor. So we already know Kaido is informed of what's entering this island. I mean, right off the bat, they've been caught. But thankfully, it's just Luffy. And so, yeah, the scout rolling in from Kaido's crew pulls out what seems to be, I guess, tranquilizing gun, which, hey, they're not as cutthroat as I thought they'd be. But they go to fire a shot at Luffy, and obviously Luffy's gonna be on that at this point, with the observation hockey training he received last arc from our boy Katakuri. So yeah, Luffy knocks the dude right the hell out right off the bat. Not even a problem. Just backhands him with his fist, sends him flying. Great panels here. I mean, we're jumping into Wano with some action right off the bat. I'm sure there'll be some lulls and some nice information being fed to us about what is currently happening in Wano. But right off the bat, I mean, Zoro sliced a dude in half and cut down a building. It seems like some kind of official. And then now we've got Luffy engaging with Kaido's crew right off the bat. But what are you going to do? So after that guy gets knocked out, the other guy is still trying to fire a shot off at Luffy. And the other guy on the other side of the radio, the headliner, goes, "Hey, what happened?" And, he blows it off, which, you ain't taking Luffy, bro. You ain't taking Luffy. You just fodder. Kaido's crewmate at this point just says, to hell with catching the guy, to hell with the Kamenu, just killed Luffy, This guy's making a fool out of us. We can't let this guy enter the island. And so they send the baboon after him. And of course, I mean, that doesn't go well for the baboon. And so, as that goes, Luffy just tames him instantly. There's homies. No problem here. He just makes quick work of them, and that's that. They bow to him. It leaves Kaido's crew in shock. But at this point, we know the baboon is a part of the Beast Pirates, so they may have other animal henchmen working in it, because they talk about how it just tarnished his reputation. It sounds like there's other creatures that are working within the Beast Pirates that have reputations. Thus, this baboon needs to hold up to his. But that ain't gonna last long. And so after Luffy tames that baboons, the girl who was in the bag comes out and knocks the dude on the head, knocks him out, gives him a good old lump. So we move on to the next page and we get introduced to Otama. Otama is, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. Otama is a small girl that's living on the island, was kidnapped, as we saw earlier, by Kaido's men. And in this scene, she's surrendering to Luffy because she's impressed, one, by his power, and two, I think she wants to win his side. She sees him as a good guy, and she even talks about that. She says, really, can you lend me some of your time? This is my chance, She wants to tell him something important. And at that point, though, she turns and she's fixated on the baboon, that she seems to be an ability user. She probably ate a devil fruit. She does this thing called Kibi Dango, and she pulls a piece of her cheek out, and it pops off. And so the translation for Kibi Dango is sweet dumpling, and it's specified that it's made out of mochi flour. Watch out for that katakuri. But anyways, it appears that she may have some kind of sweet dumpling devil fruit, But it also has another facet to it, and she sits and tries to feed the baboon, which is freaking Luffy out. He's just blown away. She just pulled a piece of her cheek off, which, yeah, God, at this point you think devil fruits wouldn't be weird to him after you've seen the jacket fruit. But yeah, she starts trying to feed it to the baboon, and he just ain't about it. So she just hucks it into his mouth, and after he eats it, he's like best pals with her, just instantly. They're homies. She seems like she can tame them, like she can tame different beasts. I don't know if it would apply to people. It's only expressed just in this. The way Luffy explains it is, she tamed that monster, but it seems to have some unique traits to it. I don't know if sweet dumplings are just something. Hey, that right off the bat, we're pals if you give me a sweet dumpling. Never been to Japan, so I'll have to wait and find out. She starts screaming, I did it, after she tames the baboon with her cheek dumpling. And she goes, I finally managed to get the baboon onto our side. And Luffy's still fixated on her ability. He goes, what a handy ability. And he asks her if he's in the country of Wano. And she goes, yes, you are in Curry. And I looked up Curry, and Curry is just the current location they're on. Like it pertains to Japan in a sense of numbers. Like it's in old Chinese, it relates out to like almost, I think it's like 21 miles or something like that. But other than that, there wasn't a lot. But Curry seems to be the location they're at now, which is good to know. It seems like there might be sections that the overall Wano country is divided into, which makes it sound a lot larger. Because I mean, yes, Dressrosa and all these other places had districts, but they weren't really expressed overtly throughout the story. I mean, this seems like it's gonna have its own general layout of cities and counties outside of it. It seems like I wouldn't be surprised if there's 5 different surrounding locations that all apply in that we're just in one major area that the Kazuki clan really relates around. Because, I mean, that's what they're after, is trying to kick Kaido out and get Wano to open its borders and become a part of the world again. We also learn from Otama is that she's got this dialect. I looked up the dialect also. It's called Tohoku. Or, yeah, it's like Tohoku? 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 Tohoku. Anyways, we're going to go Tohoku. And it just relates to the northeastern region of Honshu. Man, these Japanese words are going to kill me too. Honshu, though, and it's just relates to the region that dialect comes out of. So that also adds to that dynamic that there's larger. This continent's larger than we've seen in most. I mean, Alabasta is probably the best we can relate to it. Alabasta is a pretty massive continent. There was at least 3 cities we actually went to, and not including other cities that may lie outside it, smaller villages. I mean, the fillers in the anime went ham with some of that concept. So next up, we learn about how Otama was captured. She talks about, she was going to go get some supplies, or she was coming back with her belongings, I guess is the way she puts it. And she gets captured by Kaido's men because she runs into the baboon, and the baboon tries to attack the Komenu, and the Komenu apparently is like her pet. She's already tamed this creature earlier on. And when they take her, they won't listen to her, and they take her belongings, and she was so frustrated that she says, you better remember this when the Kazuki family comes back, which is a no-no. I mean, we knew that going into Wano that they don't like the Kazuki clan, but let's add on top of that they probably don't like their own people that are under their oppression, to start spouting out about how these people are going to come back when they're already dealing with that. So not the best idea on her part. She probably was going to get slaughtered. But Luffy stops that from happening, and she's extremely grateful to him for that, and so she wants to repay his kindness. Luffy, starts off humble, and he's like, oh, that'd be great. I have lots of questions about this place. And his stomach just growls. Luffy's always hungry. So I guess they go back to the ship when Luffy's stomach's growling. Luffy thought there was food there. Homeboy probably ate it all prior to this crash landing. But it gives them a reason to go, put the ship in a safer location that's not as noticeable, especially by Kaido's men, since that's happened right off the bat. So they hide it under this cliff face in the cavern. It's just kind of tucked away. She says, don't worry about it, I'll make you a meal. And so she hops on her Kumenu, this massive dog lion creature. As I said earlier, it's a statue that guards Shinto shrines. And then Luffy takes up the baboon, and they start making their way to where she lives, apparently. And she's talking to him about how there are pirates that she hates and there's pirates that she likes. And she says Luffy's a kind and strong pirate and that she likes him. And Luffy says, I don't really care about stuff like that. I mean, Luffy doesn't care what people's opinions of him are. I mean, that's just apparent to begin with. But nonetheless, it goes to show that she's probably not a fan of people like Kaido, or even some of the worst generation like Kid. I doubt she probably likes Apu. It's probably annoying. Luffy thinks they're heading to a village, and she says there's not a village there anymore. It's just her and her master that still live there, and that she wants to become an enchanting kunoichi. She wants to become a female ninja. I think by enchanting, I mean, it could go both ways. She's got odd powers, but I also think she just wants to be a pretty ninja. It's what it seems like to me, which, hey, we're all game for it, Oda. Just give her 10 more years. And so they head back to her place, and she gets ready to cook up some food for Luffy. It just seems like she's going to make some rice. The whole time Luffy's being Luffy, just complaining about how it smells and how it's a small place, which I guarantee Luffy smells like 90% of the time. I think Oda said in one of his SBSs that he showers like once a week. I mean, you can't count ocean water for that. Ocean water just is not helping him in the situation. I mean, he falls in the ocean enough to be clean, I would say. But no, it's just, he probably reeks all the time. And so I don't think he's really one to talk, but whatever. And she's being kind to him anyways, and so we get a nice shot of Luffy and her chatting, and they're about to eat down on some rice, or Luffy is at least. And he asks her if she's gonna eat her something, and she goes, right, in order for me to be a kunoichi, I must make sure to keep my body very light. Seems like there's a lot of honor about one eating and one's personal lifestyle revolving around this kind of period in Japan history, especially like since it's not Japan, it's Wano Kuni, but it ties in a lot with the honor of, not claiming you're hungry and being prideful of that, and being a strong warrior and not showing your emotions. And so Luffy doesn't really key in on any of this. He's just like, alright, I'll have more then. And she's like, that was so fast, but that was all of it. And we don't have any more side dishes either, which to Luffy's probably unheard of. But he goes, I see, I didn't even actually want more. I'm really full now. Which Luffy at this point picks up a cue. He's trying to be humble and just be like, no, that's fine. And she goes, I'm gonna, go wash my hands. And Luffy's sitting there thinking, he's like, she didn't make much, but she made it for my sake. Tama's a good kid. It's not often you see Luffy really acknowledge people. He's a nice person. He cares about people and he'll respect them, but it's not often he says it out loud. Like, he really says, like, that person's a good kid or that person's a nice person, And unless it's later on in some very developed character, but he just met this person, so it seems like he really likes Tama. He thinks she's nice. Tama's gonna play a big part of the story, obviously, that's set up, but it's cool. I don't know. I think they may have a cool buddy friend relationship. It reminds me a lot of Asa from Skypiea. She's got that true warrior calling, and she also shows a lot of the kind traits and buddiness with Luffy early on that we get out of Skypiea. So I'm looking forward to seeing what her character can do. I'm sure she'll be a big part of the emotional strings to what gets a lot of this return to Kinemon and Kanjuro and Momonosuke's situation. I think there's been some time since people have been thinking about how much Kinemon and Momonosuke were affected by the Daimyo dying, and you can always use for the whole country. It seems to be a big thing that Oda makes it seem like. It's not just a few people that are oppressed, it's like the whole goddamn place. And I mean, it's a Yonko here that's ruling over him, but I wouldn't be surprised if most of the nation is just really on the side of Kazuki. They just can't stand up to the Shogun. And so while Luffy's waiting for Tama to come back, we have this guy come busting in. We don't really get a name for him yet. Luffy initially thinks he's Usopp, and then he goes, no, you're not him. And he's wondering who he is. He asks him if he ate the rice, and Luffy goes, huh? I did. Who are you? He's like, how does this guy know what's going on here? And he's upset. He freaks out. He goes, you foolish man. He's like, starts just attacking Luffy and chasing him out of the building. And Luffy doesn't know how to respond. He's like, who the hell are you, man? He's like, what did I do to you? And he goes on to explain to Luffy that, Tama wouldn't make that food for anyone else. How would a child who hasn't eaten in days consider someone else before her own hunger? And that's when Luffy realizes something more is going on with Tama than just, her kindness. He realizes that she's struggling to live her own life. Luffy didn't realize he ate the last of her rice, and he didn't realize how much she works. I guess she weaves bamboo hats all day. If she manages to sell them, she doesn't know if she'll have enough money to last the day. I'm sure they pay Kaido portions of what they make. I'm sure they pay the Shogun a lot. So he says she eats millet most of the time, which I believe is just like gruel, like rice gruel, like. And then she actually has rice like twice a year, and it's on her birthday and New Year's Day. And today was her birthday. She turned 8, and so he asked like why Luffy was the one who ate it, and then Tama comes screaming, please forgive me. I cooked the rice. I made it for him. I wanted to pay my kindness back to someone who saved my life. And she screams, don't bring shame on me. And like I said, a lot of honor going on in this arc already. I mean, it's just totally taken me back to Punk Hazard and the fact that Kinemon and Momonosuke were so prideful. I mean, it just seems to be really established here that people don't talk about their problems, and they also don't ask for help. They're just really supposed to be self-dependent. It's a big part of who they are. So yeah, she starts saying, "I'll weave more bamboo hats, so please forgive me." She's willing to do anything. She's like, "Please let me repay Big Brother Luffy back. He saved my life." And then she starts coughing blood. Like, at first I was thinking, this girl's working too hard or something like that. I was like, damn, Oda's just hit you right off the bat with the feels. Like, the people are already really oppressed here, really prideful and honorable, and it's like, so their life sounds like hell already. And then the samurai goes on to say, he's like, "Tama, you fool. Did you drink the water from the river to suppress your hunger?" And then they go, I think Luffy shouts, "Hey, Tama, water." And then the samurai explains that the rivers in this country are contaminated because of the waste that comes from Kaido's factories. So I take it there's probably smile or sad or something being produced on Wano itself. It seems like, because I don't know what else Kaido's factories would be producing, but we may find out. But it's apparently contaminating the water. There's water stream supply that probably most the population drinks out of probably isn't that very sanitary. Since there's factories that are, like, really, from what we've seen with Yonko, is they take advantage of their territories more than it appears at first. Things kind of look cool on the surface, but overall they're just using the territory to kind of bark out and run their organization through. If you look at the way Flamingo ran his operation on Dressrosa, and it's all surface stuff, everything seems fine, and then you realize how broken the populace is because of these pirates being involved in their nation and in their politics. So she drank the water, and they're talking about how for a young girl, drinking the contaminated water is like drinking poison. And I don't know if that means that their whole populace can really handle drinking it. Maybe the samurai, maybe they've got like tougher overall body. I don't know. It's kind of weird how it applies in One Piece, because it's like when they went to Skypiea, they learned how to deal with being 10,000 meters in the air pretty quick. They adapted well, like Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji adapted well to the lack of oxygen and what it takes to survive at those heights. And I'm sure the samurai of the island have some kind of tolerance, and they're probably pretty strong, so they probably can handle drinking it. But I wonder if, like, just a normal working, like, say, merchant or someone was to drink the water, would it be good for them, or would it slowly deteriorate their health? But the way they put it for the Tama is that it's poisoning her. It's probably killing her, or close to killing her, or whatever. And we learn more about Tama in that we learn that she knows someone pretty important to us and important to Luffy personally. And that person is a Mr. Fire Fist Ace. And it's kind of fascinating because people had known that he learned to weave hats, and he weaved a hat for Orange Jr. He wove a hat for him, and he said he learned how to do it in Wano Country. It makes you curious, like, how did Ace get into Wano Country, and why was he there? Well, Whitebeard knew the Kazuki clan. So we know Inuyasha and Nekomamushi were a part of Whitebeard's crew for a short while, and then they joined Roger's crew with Odin. So Whitebeard was acquainted with Odin, I'm sure, and he probably has been to Wano. Whitebeard's a good dude. We learn about it later. Why wouldn't Wano be affiliated with people like them if they were affiliated with Roger at the time? It runs the question, how does Ace know Tama? I guess Ace died 2 years ago, so they would have met at least when she was 6, maybe 5, maybe younger. But she knows Ace, and she's been waiting on Wano Kuni and waiting on this specific part of Wano Kuni, Curie, for Ace. And obviously, the one person to run into her that knows Ace better than anyone other than Whitebeard is Luffy. And so that leaves him kind of a shock and leaves us on a cliffhanger for the chapter. And then we cut back to the scouts, and they go, not to the scouts, but we cut back to the headliner, the person who was talking on the Den Mushi. And he goes, we lost communication with the scout group at Curry Beach. What should we do, headliner? Oh, I guess it's not necessarily the headliner, but it's another crewmate that went and found out that they lost communication with the scout. And he says, we don't know how many are there, but we do know that a group of people have disembarked there. We get a cut over to Basil Hawkins. Boys, what? I didn't think he'd be the first of the worst generation we'd see here. I honestly thought X Drake was going to be the first we'd run into, since he was already prominently shown. But we cut over to Basil Hawkins, and he says, don't report this to Kaido-san yet. I'll go. And he's interested. It reminds me a lot of what happened just barely on Whole Cake Island. With there a lot more going on with the worst generation. I mean, most of them don't want to work under Yonko. They want to be Yonko themselves. But it's interesting because they got their asses whooped by Kaido, like, pretty much the beginning of the New World. Luffy's the only one who's kind of been afloat for a little bit. But he got to the New World later also. But their crew got tromped on by Kaido. 3 of them. So it kind of made me wonder if they would actually, try to go against him. But yeah, it seems like Basil's going to look for Luffy. And I think, he's going to try and figure out if they can work an alliance out or not. It may not work right off the bat, but I feel like by midway or end of this arc, Basil's going to be an ally. And I think it seems like most of the worst generation might end up being allies of Luffy, helping to shoulder his weight to make him king of the pirates. That's where it seems like it's leaning now. I haven't seen anyone other than Blackbeard who's blatantly shown that he doesn't want to work with him. Maybe Kid, but who knows? He's been sitting pretty beat up in a Kaido prison for a while. Maybe working under Luffy won't seem so bad now. But yeah, so that's the whole chapter we just covered. I'm going to go back through and probably talk about a few side notes of things that I thought were important or interesting. But overall, this is my first current chapter review, and I'm interested to see how it comes out. So we're going to go ahead and just sit and talk about overall what this chapter offered us. We get a lot of insight on what the views on the Kazuki clan are right now in Wano. I mean, we already knew it was tough to begin with, but yeah, they're pretty much going to kill anyone that talks about it or references it. So that's an absolute no-no. They're already in dangerous territory with Zoro, plus Luffy's already kind of been found out. But with Basil Hawkins being the one finding out, I'm not as worried about that right now. I think Luffy may actually have one of the easier entrances into an island than he's had in years prior. Then we get to talk about Tama, who I think will be a major aspect and dynamic the story. I don't know how much she'll play in Momonosuke's part of the series, but definitely in the other aspects of what's going on in Wano and informing us, and then the tying in with Ace. That's a whole different part of the story I didn't expect. It's not that Ace wasn't going to be referenced or talked about again, but it seems like there's a big reason why she was waiting for Ace to come back, and it's interesting to me, and it's probably going to give Luffy strong opinions and views. I mean, just look at what he did in Dressrosa. No, but it's interesting, Ace being involved. I'm sitting here trying to wrap my head around all the things that he may have promised Tama. We learned about some of the ranking system and within Kaido's group. We know that there's disasters, we have Jack, or not disaster, calamities, similar name though. But we have Jack, and then we know that there's gifters. Gifters are like low-ranking henchmen that have gotten gifts, and then headliner. and it seems like that's probably more of a mid-rank between a gifter and a calamity. Kind of not like a first mate, or maybe like a subclass division commander. I feel like the calamities are the major division commanders, and maybe they have like first mates or first ranks from there, and those are the headliners. But we get Basil Hawkins for that, and so we may see others like Apu and maybe X Drake, who also are known as headliners or something more. We learned about location. We know that Kuri is the location they're currently in, or at least Luffy's in, and that it was originally under the Kazuki rule, is not now. I mean, as most of Wano seems to be. They hid Sunny. Tama wants to be a Kunoichi, and then we got introduced to that samurai. We did not get a name at this point, but I mean, he actually could be a ninja, but just the way he looked, I thought he was a samurai. But she did say, Thomas said that that's her master's place, and then he knows a ton about her, so I'm assuming that's her master. And then he also had this really cool like flower design. Here, let me pull that back up. He had that really cool flowery katana. I don't know if we're ever going to get graded blades at this point in the story. But still interesting. I'm psyched to see all the swords in Wano. I'm sure there's going to be some crazy ones and some interesting ones. And look at Zoro maybe getting a new samurai sword in the future of this arc. Katana. We also learned that Kaido has factories within this arc, and that's, I guess, probably the other big thing I wanted to talk about is the factories. I'm not sure if they're devil fruit factories, but that was his big goal, was to have an all-beast pirate crew, and we have the beast creatures that we've seen so far. It seems like they're a part of Kaido's crew. They even reference the baboon being under him, so who knows if there's more creatures that are working underneath Kaido like that, plus the actual people who've taken devil fruits, and then the gifters who've received artificial devil fruits. And then if he has his own factory, he's still getting some of those devil fruits, but it's weird because he was upset that Joker got caught. If he had his own factories, it doesn't seem like it'd be that big of a deal, but who knows? We'll probably find out more about that a couple chapters from now, maybe, 10 or so. But anyways, this was my review of chapter 911, and hope you guys enjoy and check out more. I'm going to try and review this, and then I'm also going to do reviews of chapters, or I guess they're more of overviews of chapters from chapter 1 on to chapter 910. I guess. Yeah, this would be the first one of current reviews, so I'd go up to 910. So look forward to 909 other videos reviewing all the chapters beforehand. It's absurd. And then I'll try to keep up with the weekly chapter reviews as much as I can. Thank you guys.